Hey everyone, welcome to another video with myself, Shane Gadd. So what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about and exploring Imbolc. You may ask yourself, what is Imbolc? What is that, Shane? Good question. We're going to be exploring that. Those of you that follow the channel and you follow the Facebook page, Spirit Meets Venture, you may have seen the video. I think there's one or two videos and the post looking at Winter Solstice. Now I kind of see these as gateways in time. They're almost like doorways in time. They are moments in time that we can kind of work with, that we can almost connect with, we can harmonize ourselves with, and they are often transitional moments in time that move us along the wheel of the year. And I do see them as transitional kind of gateways and doorways. You know, they either ebb or they flow. They either build and grow or fall away. They either wax and they wane. You know, but each one of them has its own unique flavour, its own unique ingredient. You know, for many years going back, I followed a druidic path and was a part of the order of bards, ovates and druids. And that kind of, after a while, fell away. There was something else that was stirring for me, and in these last 2 years I've absolutely found it come calling, it come or returned back to me with quite a force. And it is very kind of simple by nature. It's very kind of uncomplicated. It has its place within the hedgerow tradition, the green tradition, and even the kind of kitchen witchery tradition. You know, it's kind of very simple, uncomplicated, and in a way kind of quite solitary by nature, even though I absolutely love connecting with people. There is this nomadic, this wandering, renegade feeling to it, you know, that kind of, you know, allows you to develop your relationship to the innate in a very personal way, without following a guideline or without following a rigid guideline, which may be why that, you know, for me, that it evolved into what it is today. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be really exploring these gateways of time, these cycles of time. You may see behind me, those of you that follow the page Spirit Meets Venture, that I put up about my latest portrait, psychic portrait that was done for me. You'll see behind me, I have got her up on the wall. So I got her last Sunday, given to me last Sunday, and there she is. You see her behind me. Beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. There is a beautiful story that comes with her, and you'll see to the side of me, you'll just make out the side of me, that was the original portrait that was done for me 7 or 8 years ago, and here she is behind me in her latest form, which I feel is her complete form, as if she's revealed herself more fully. So, you know, all of this has come about in the last few weeks, and that has a story to it that goes back 7 years. This is something that's been evolving. So for that length of time, you know, I've been following, you know, I've been working with the innate as a medium, a holistic medium, for around about 26 years. But my path with the land and that kind of infused tradition, earth-based traditions, it goes back for about, I don't know, 9-10 years, you know. So this is maybe a little bit further. It is very, very profound, and this has a story to it which I will share as we go forward. Um, but yeah, there she is revealing herself in her, what I feel is her complete form, you know, which makes sense to why, um, you know, some of those things felt like they were missing some time ago, and here we are. You know, as I say, it's more of a hedgerow tradition, which is very simple, very uncomplicated, very solitary by nature. That sense of also kind of moving through the hedge from this world to the other. You know, moving through the hedge, you know, and I can remember as a child, or across the stone wall as a child, being fascinated by stone walls and seeing those little gaps in there, and those hedgerows, seeing those gaps and always wondering what's on the other side. You know, there's so much metaphor, so much symbology within that. You know, kind of tapping into the unseen. You know, even within my Druid tradition, when I was initiated into the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids, I sat very comfortably with Neovatic grade, which is very much like the hedgerow tradition. You know, it's that sense of being in touch with the unseen, the other world, one foot in this, one foot in the other, very connected to the magical side of the tradition, and working with oracles, and those tools. So it kind of sits very at home, and this is maybe why she revealed herself. But future video we will share more. But for now we are talking about Imbolc. Okay, so Winter Solstice behind us, and we've got Imbolc, which is the stirrings. Okay, there is an absolute stirring of light. You know, think about this. You know, when our ancestors relied upon the sun as their only source of light, the end of winter would have been met with so much celebration. You know, and I think even though it's still kind of cold in February, and occasionally that sun, you know, shines brightly above us, and those skies become crisp and clear. It's just a sense that maybe spring is beginning to stir. You know, towards the end of January, and if you think back to Winter Solstice, between Winter Solstice and Imbolc, which is the 1st, 2nd of February, you've kind of gained nearly an hour of light, depending on the cloud covering. You know, if you come like 4:30 and it's getting dark, look up, there's probably cloud. On those clearer evenings, it's gone 5 o'clock, which means we've kind of gained nearly an hour of light, which is absolutely amazing. You know, you say the wheel does turn, it all begins to stir, it all begins to shift. You know, by the end of January, those days are so much longer. So really, what is Imbolc? Imbolc for me is the stirrings of that shift, the stirrings of that change. It's a celebration, it's a tradition that is absolutely embedded, connected and harmonizing with the light. You know, it's a festival of light. You know, it was known also within the Christian tradition as being Candlemas. You know, in many ways those older and ancient traditions were repurposed, and then it became Candlemas, which has its links to the light again. You know, something that, you know, is really wonderful to do on Imbolc evening when the sun has set. You know, is to light a candle and to cool back the light, either by lighting a candle or lighting a fire within your fireplace or outside. You know, is that sense of, you know, to connecting to that light. It has connections to the Celtic goddess Brigid, and many of the traditions at Imbolc are linked to her, linked to her magic as the goddess of fire. She was the patroness of blacksmiths, again association to fire, but also to water. Okay, so wells, springs, poetry. You know, it's this real celebration. If you look at that celebration of alchemy, of transformation, you know, going from the dark into the light, you know, being able to, you know, almost work in a forge as a blacksmith. You are an alchemist. You know, you're taking material in one form, and through heat and water, you're transforming it into another. Those sacred springs were always revered as Brigid's place. You know, you can see the theme that is beginning to appear there. But it's about very, very gently just creating a personal relationship to these moments in time. You know, what sits right with you, what feels appropriate to you, you know, and that's the thing about this path, is that it's personal. You know, it's how it speaks to you, and I think you can find inspiration through books, through videos like myself, through groups, or most definitely from going within and allowing it to be your own. You know, make it your own, claim it to be your own. You know, Brigid was known also to watch over the hearth, watch over the home. You know, those of you that have visited me ever for a consultation, you would have seen my wall hanging that hangs behind me when I'm consulting. You know, she watches over the space. You know, one way to bring Imbolc into your home, or Brigid into your home, is also the tradition of what was known the Bridgette Doll, which was made out of straw or corn and dressed with the flowers. As we go forward, a dear friend of mine has made me some Brigid dolls for next week, that one will be placed on our Woodland Grove altar when we hold our ritual and our ceremony, and one to then return to our home. So I look forward to sharing those with you as well, and a little bit about the way that wonderful lady works. But yeah, is to bring it into your home, and then it kind of remains with you till next Imbolc. You know, these are beautiful things, you know, and it's the sense of, you know, she is embodying the spirit of the season as it begins to stir. You know, it's all this links to life and renewal. You know, for us, we will hold a simple ritual in our woodland grove. We will give an offering of oats and honey for the land and for its animals, in thanks for the coming spring. Placing that beautiful Brigid doll within that woodland altar, in that woodland grove, and we will hold a very simple fire ceremony. We'll hold it for all those that we hold dear, in honour of those who have come before us and those who are yet to come. For our community, for all of you that are watching this, listening to this, those that connect with us. You know, at the heart of that is, you know, may you continue to have strength to stand strong and become all that you are designed to be. I come across these beautiful words from a lady called B. Smith, who was talking about, and my dear friend passed them on to me, about the Brigid doll, and what she felt it was whispering to her, and I'm going to read you that now. The word, she says, for 219. You know, when we talk about these gateways of time, these markers of time, the word for 219 is faith. It's laced, she goes on to say, it's laced with Capricorn energy. She goes on to say, with all this year's Capricorn energy, it feels like we may be going back to basics, or looking to a more traditional way of doing things. But remember Brigid's lesson, the old ways can be adapted, and they can be refashioned. They will survive for another generation. Pass it on. So much that I can take from that. You know, I think there is this sense of wanting to scratch under the surface of everything, wanting to connect to things in such a more deeper way. We're wanting those things that have heart, those things that have an integrity, those things that have a deeper meaning and purpose. We don't want to be on the surface anymore. We're wanting to kind of go deeper. And that kind of reminds me of the other symbols that are really connected to Imbolc, and one of them is the cauldron. If you kind of look at the cauldron, you know, everyone goes, oh, you know, witch's cauldron, and kind of laughs, but actually it's a very, very powerful symbol. You know, it's that sense of, you know, when I work with the cauldron within my workings, you know, it's either for building and growing, so for harnessing light, you know, and that might be using a candle and candle magic, or it might be the sense of it's becoming a void, and dropping away, dropping into the nothingness, into the void, into the emptiness, allowing things to fall away. It's that ebb and flow, but it's a very, very powerful vehicle. And I think, you know, what B says is, you know, the old ways, you know, they can be adapted, they can be refashioned. It's about taking those core ingredients and allowing it to become your own. It's a bit like, you know, working with a recipe book and then making it your own. Same sort of ideas, you know. You know, how beautiful is that? You know, so Imbolc is just one of the many fire celebrations. You know, it's deep roots, celebrating the hearth, the home, the rhythms of the land, the cauldron, the kitchen. It could be a time of even water scrying, and you could scry in a cauldron, which would be really amazing and very, very powerful. Or even within a fire, scrying within a candle, within a fire. You know, Imbolc in the Irish meaning means belly, and there's the connection to renewal, life, and also to the cauldron. You know, the cauldron is seen as this kind of womb-like space that things are woven, created, and birthed. Which is also why probably Brigid was the patroness for the blacksmith. You know, it's this creation. Very, very powerful symbology. Very powerful. And in the kitchen, the same. It's this creation. So Imbolc in Irish means belly. When winter begins to gently sleep, and we may not see that right now, but the days are longer, and spring starts to stir. It is indeed stirring out there. There's buds, the days are longer, snowdrops are showing themselves. There's a beautiful story of the Kalloch, and I really apologise if I'm pronouncing it wrong and I've kind of butchered that. But a beautiful story of the Kalloch, who is known as, like, shows herself as the divine hag, you know, the winter kind of crone-like creature, who rules over winter. She rules over winter. She rules over endings. She, you know, it's the end part of the year, and I kind of see. And my dear friend said this to me about one of one of her incredible kind of mentors and someone she shared time with. And she says that the new year doesn't begin until spring. And you can kind of really sense that when you feel that for a moment, you think about that for a moment, you can feel that bubbling up. That kind of really does make sense. So the Kalloch, she rules over winter, she rules over death and endings. And the story is that she gathers her firewood for the rest of winter on Imbolc. Now, if the goddess Cailleach wishes to make winter last a lot longer, she will make sure that the weather on Imbolc is bright and sunny, so she can gather plenty of firewood. But if Imbolc is a day of foul weather, it means the Kalloch is asleep and winter is almost over. I just love that story. I absolutely love that story. So I wanted to share some of that with you, stir up some thought, wishing you all the brightest of Imbolcs, and leaving you with those ideas that it's the stirrings of a new cycle of time. Maybe if we remove ourselves from the fixed calendar, maybe that spring is the beginning of the new year. It's certainly a beginning of a new cycle of time. And it's a tricky little one, this one, so on the wheel of the year, it's a tricky one, because you're not quite in, there's a sense we're not quite in spring, but actually if you connect with the land, then the signs are there. And if you look at summer solstice, and you look at the Sabbats, the wheels of the year, they're like 3 months apart. So you look at summer solstice, how can that be the beginning of summer? Because the days are beginning to be shorter. So actually it would make sense that the Imbolc marks the beginning of spring. I think the calendar as we know it slightly throws us. We can feel that sense of it slightly throwing us. And I think, some people go, oh no, I've missed that Sabbath, or I've missed that ceremony time, and I missed that ritual. I think it's about marking it as you feel right to. It's about personalising this, and allowing it to become your own. So hopefully we've stirred up some inspiration. I love to hear your thoughts, and you'll find that over the next week or so on Spirit Meets Adventure and Instagram, there'll be a lot of kind of inspiration, lots of ideas, lots of kind of photos and content beginning to stir as we move into and through Imbolc. See you all soon, guys. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.